with our messaging app just about fleshed out in terms of the functionality of it, with the UX design essentially complete, now we want to move on to the UI design. And this is where we're all going to go in different directions, slightly different directions. It will look, generally speaking, kind of the same way, but now you can do whatever it is you want to do with your messaging app. Now here's how we're going to begin this. We're going to begin this with these 3 pages here. The first that we did, we're going to sort of assign a, shall we say, group, a video animating between these two. However, before we do this, we want to double check, we want to stop, and we want to go through how we want this to look. Now, in this case, I have this little marker here that says logo. So before you do anything else, let's just open up another thing and just make a little logo for your app. Remember, I called mine Yakin just because I like kayaking. And here we go. That's the name of my messaging app, Yakin. And you can name it whatever you want to name it, but come up with a logo for it. My logo is a very simple, just oval with just this font I used, which was Ostrich Sans Heavy. If you want to download a font from Dafont or somewhere else, just let me know and I'll help you install it. Okay. This right here is what will transform into a messaging app here. So let's go ahead and make a new composition, and we'll call it. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to cancel this. I'll make a new composition from footage. Let's find the PNGs that we exported last time. So I go to downloads. I go to messaging, UX wireframe, artboard 1. Let's double check this. Open. There we go. All right. Okay. So this is essentially what we have to work with. Now, I have After Effects open. I've got Adobe Illustrator open, and I've also got Chrome open, and I've got it open to 2 pages here. I've got Chrome open up to a color palette generator, and I've also got it open up to a series of apps that I looked up. I looked up messaging apps inside Behance, and I did this because I wanted just to get some just fresh ideas as far as what people have determined they think that their apps look like. I'm seeing a lot of white backgrounds, very minimalist. I'm seeing very little in the way I'm seeing a lot of blue and aqua. I'm seeing a lot of very neutral colors. You got to think to yourself, if this is going to be a thing that people are going to be looking at, you don't want to have super fire engine reds. We've talked about this, about color temperatures and stuff like that, right? So I would look through this and I would think to myself, okay, how do I want my thing to look? What color palette do I want? So to start off with, we're gonna take our app here. We're gonna start designing around it, and so I'm gonna speed through this a little bit here. I'm just gonna design my own thing. Once again, you're doing your own thing. Okay, so this is where I'm going to pause for just a second because obviously, we've basically rebuilt this inside After Effects for the sole purpose of being able to animate this in such a way that allows us to, see what's going on here. But we want to pause for just a second so we can basically go back and we can create our little scrolling objects here. Recall, we go over to Illustrator, and we can actually grab this guy right here. We can actually jump in here and just dive in and pick up, these guys here. If I just were to zoom in and just one by one grab these guys, just click. And in this case here, if we wanted just to grab this and just sort of see how big this was 1026. So if we want to make a project that was 1028 or 1024 or maybe 1020 or something like that, we could just make this 1020 pixels wide, and say for instance, I don't know how tall it is, but maybe we can make it 3000 pixels tall, just to give it some room to scroll. And then from there, Control V, and we could even duplicate all this. Oops. Here we go. I'll just drag all this up here. I want to say I made this. This is all still text. So I could conceivably change this text to something new. So this is where we can decide how we want this to look. So in this case, maybe I change everything to ostrich, and hey, why not just honestly get rid of all this and just duplicate all this here? Okay, all right, that works good. All right, so I'll just save this for now and call this recent scroll list, and I can even save this to, say, for instance, the same area here. I'll keep it in pictures for now. And then, so this is the idea. This is the recents here, and then with over here, I can just do the same thing. I can just jump in here, pull in this, and this Control C, and I can even just file, save a copy, and call this one recents. Call this contact names. And we can, once again, use this as our source for what's going to be scrolling. And so we can just kind of show how it's going to look when it scrolls. All right, cool. And then I'll just say this. So we got contact names, we got the chat logo. So now what we'll do is we'll create, once again, these little containers that we can use to be that will allow us to view our stuff. Now in this case, I think I might actually just keep these the same color here. But once again, recall what we want to do is we want to make a new composition. In this case, so once again, you just would make this fit whatever it is you've got going on here with yours, and then you go from there. Okay, so I have my scrolling recent conversations, and it shows me what time they recently were contacted. I also put a little label here for recents and contacts. Again, this is what I put down. It shouldn't look like mine. You should look different somehow. And now I extend this out to about 30 seconds or so I can have this now go to my contacts, right? And so my contacts, the way I'm gonna pop this on top is by just duplicating this and actually splitting this. I'm gonna go over here I'm gonna go to edit. I'm gonna go to split layer, and that's gonna allow me to drag this on top of both of my recents and on top of the contacts right here, which will this will appear like this. And from here, what I can actually do is I can actually just drag this over just slightly here, and then put it in some sort of fade here. I'm just going to save this real fast. Wait, am I actually recording? Yeah, I got my. Alright, so I'm going to effects and presets. I'm going to go to like just blur and sharpen, or some sort of like, or even just do the opacity here. I think, or we could even look through a couple of different things here as far as keying, noise, grain, perspective, simulation here, stylize. Let's look here. Maybe there's some way we can kind of like animate this. We want to have some sort of animation. This is, again, is up to you, the way you do this. So transition, here we go. That's a good one. So depending on what you want to do, like maybe you want this to like be some sort of a wipe or some sort of like, kind of like thing. And the idea is, I think generally speaking, you don't want this to last more than like a quarter of a second, or like a few frames or so. So in this case, we've got like 14 seconds to 16 seconds. So this right here, I'm not sure how long this is. In between here, this is like what, 20 frames. So we've got like what, 15 seconds. So this is a little less than half a second here. So in this case, what is this? This looks like it's a 30 frames a second thing here. So let me just pop this a little more like that, and just drag in. I don't think I want to do anything like a wipe. I think mostly probably just want this to kind of fade in, or it can even slide in from the side here. Maybe what we could do is this. We could do this number here where like maybe this could slide out then slide in. So what we could do is have this be out of the way here. So let's do the peak position here, and just, so this is my idea. Now again, you don't have to do this. In fact, I suggest that you don't. I'll just tie this guy to contacts. So now I'll there you go. That's kind of cool. All right, so a little slide in, slide out kind of a deal. And then we're going to make sure we have this visible as well. So we're going to go over here. We want to have our let's have our thing populate here. So what we'll do is we'll have the same deal as before. We'll have let's go over here to our contacts, and we'll just actually Control D this thing, and then we'll contacts it. We'll rename this to recents. No. Yeah, those contacts. Yeah, okay, so recents. So this we reverse these here. Rename this to contacts, and then rename this to recents, and then we'll just come back over here to contacts, and here we go. Okay, cool. And then we'll just replace this here with our contacts, and we'll have this sort of just appear at first. So let's just zoom out here, and then I'll just yeah, we'll go from here. Okay, so I ended up making this whole thing. You can kind of see a couple things here. I'll just show you. So this is going to repeat in just a second. I got my recents, I got my contacts, and I got my menu. That's the whole drive of this specific thing here. The idea is that we're supposed to design our app to make it, let us know what we might want this to look like. So I like it having a kind of a dark background with light text. I like to have this sort of darker colors. I don't know, night mode, whatever you want to call it. I like this little blue on blue kind of a color here. Honestly, maybe like under the e-commerce, you could choose a different, color scheme, whatever. I don't care. The idea simply being that with this right here, we can kind of see a couple things. One, we can see how it scrolls. We can kind of see that that could be a thing that you think is important, like how it scrolls. That's a big thing people like. This little flap, coming in. Maybe you want it to like just appear. Maybe you want it just to fade in. One of those things. Idea being that you want to animate this to have its own thing kind of going on here. So let's take your time in figuring out how you want this to look and make it your own. All right. So this is the first little bit to our UI design of our own app that we're going to show off to people here. All right. Very cool.